Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 8 of the 30-day Living an Authentic Life Challenge. I am Tanya E. Hood, and today for this challenge, we are having a discussion about conflict. Conflict is not something we want to hear about, something we don't want to deal with. No one wants to be bothered with it, but it exists. It's part of our reality, and we're going to have to make some decisions when it comes to it, because here's something that we know is true. When things are going well in our world, conflict is going to come knocking at the door. And sometimes, and especially in my case, it seems like it wants to just bust down the door when you find those happy, joyful moments or when things are going well. Those are the things that gives you a clue that conflict is coming. So it's best to prepare for it. One of the best things that I've learned to prepare for conflict is being mindful of my conflict sequence. Now, many of you may not have heard of that term, but it's something that I often teach and share with my clients, because when I discovered it, it helped me get to a better position. Because if you are really interested in knowing your personalized conflict, because it's unique to each individual, the same way that our fingerprints are unique to who we are, so is your conflict sequence. And when I discovered that when you enter into it, there are 3 stages. The first stage, you're kind of thinking about, am I okay? Are you okay? Is the situation okay? You get the opportunity to start thinking about, there has got to be a way that we can figure out how to get all of this to work. If you are a person like I am, who is a natural organizer, naturally wants to structure things, naturally wants to make certain that things are in place along the way, you start planning. And when you enter this stage for me, I start analyzing to see, did I do the best I could? But if that doesn't work, I often do what happens to many others, filter my focus. As I get narrower in my focus, my choice is now not to try to figure out if you're okay anymore. Can I get the situation together? We often think about, if I can just make this work, then you will be okay, and everything else around us will be okay as well. And sometimes that's a true statement. But often what happens, we're not equipped to deal with what's truly occurring in our lives. We have not learned enough tools, strategies, or actionable steps that can give us support to be able to deal with those situations. So we go deeper into our conflict sequence. If you end up in a space where, like I show up in my stage 3, the rock bottom moments where I'm either going to fight or decide totally to withdraw. If you're a type of individual like I am, in that moment, if you don't recognize it, everybody around you recognizes it, because it's in that moment that you're often mean, cruel, vindictive. I know how to play the vindictive game. If you want to go there, I got a few cards in my back pocket that I have used. But that is not an effective way to deal with conflict. See, when we enter into these places and spaces where we are finding ourselves in these different stages, if we don't have a way of dealing with them effectively, they can cause more damage. So let's talk about what you can do to manage and mitigate when you find yourself in conflict. First, you got to recognize where it is there's some things that's occurring around you that's triggering you. What does that look like? For me, there are moments I had to discover, if I go quiet, some part of my being decided that we need to analyze. And when I'm in analysis mode, I go quiet. If I'm quiet for too long, that's a problem. But I had to discover my silence in a moment. And if I discovered my silence in a moment, I started assessing me. If I got the chance to assess me a little bit better, then I can figure out a way to move out into a different level so that I don't go so deep, so I don't narrow my focus so much. Because what we do, and I equate this often to a burning fire. If you are in a burning house, you are not looking around to see, is the plan okay? What's happening in the kitchen? No, you narrow your vision so that you can get out. That's what happens to us. So if you're so far down, you're not listening often to some information that can support you. So if I find that I have bypassed stage 1, I have done analyzing, and I'm in a position where I'm making a decision, because I'm sort of flexible when I get into the different stages, depending on my environment. I may decide that I want to assert my position. I may decide that I want to accommodate the moment, but I gauge that based off of how I was already interacting or engaging earlier on when things were going well. So if I find that's where I am and I have missed the fact that I have gone silent and I'm starting to assert my position or just acquiesce who I am, those were the moments that I found myself after my divorce, where I chose to let my voice be silenced. And I let everybody else on the planet say what they wanted to say about my life, make decisions about what they wanted to make in my life. And that caused me more harm than good. So my desire today is to let you know conflict is coming, but prepare for it in advance. Know your conflict sequence and be mindful of your triggers. If hanging out with certain people triggers the inner elements of your soul, then you need to find a new group of people or limit your time. Because often we can't just automatically change the group that we're hanging around, but you can limit your time. There's been plenty of moments in my life that I will show up because I said I would. I honor what I say I'm going to do. But I fully recognize that in this environment around these individuals at this point in my existence, I can only hang out for 30 minutes. Then something after that often would have triggered me. So I have to pay attention, use my tools, operate the way that I need to. And if you need to find, like we were talking about before, better ways of communicating what you have to do to help you in those moments, start pre-planning some of your statements. There's been plenty of times I have used the statement, well, I have enjoyed myself. It's time to go. You can use that one if you need to. But if you want to talk a little bit more and go a little bit deeper on how to deal with conflict, then you need to join us on Zoom. Hello, everyone that's there. We are going to go deeper into this conversation because day 8, conflict, we all need to know how to prepare for it because we know it's coming. If you want to talk more, go to my website, tanyaehood.com. There you can click under the registration tab and join us. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.